Good evening, everyone. We are now in Proverbs Chapter 4. Now, there are things that we would have seen previously in the previous chapter and allusions to things which is being referred. And so, one of the things that you find here in the beginning of chapter 4, we should be more familiar with the word here. The word here is actually Shama. And I hope that you all remember that, right? Shama. And by Shama, it literally means to pick up the sounds of what is said or what is spoken, and then figure it out, understand what you have heard, and make decisions to do something about it. And that's what hearing is. And as you can tell, it's about my children here. And so in the Hebrew scheme of things, it is an older speaking to the younger, right? And so Solomon is the older. He's been using the term son. Now, in this particular case, children here literally mean sons, right? In the plural. And so from singular son, he is now addressing the general population as sons. Now, obviously, would this be inclusive of every young person? Typically, this word in the plural, banim, would be with reference to the male child in the plural. And so he had been addressing to son as in singular. Now he's opening up the scope of discussion. And so here, my son. And always remember, it's Solomon trying to teach the younger generation who are men, right? Who are boys. The instruction. The word instruction here is actually the word chastening, the discipline. I think this is important. The discipline, the correction of a father. And this would really mean typically a father of various sorts, I would say. And the assumption here is a father who is godly. I will use the term godly, right? A father who is godly, not just any father, but a father who is godly, who knows God, who knows God's words. Now, this in itself is important because in 2 Samuel chapter 7, verse 14, I think it's verse 14, is the backdrop of this statement here. Now, in 2 Samuel chapter 7, verse 14, it says this. I think you could refer to that. It says, God is now telling David, he says, I will be his father. And that would be Solomon. And he shall be my son. And so this father-son relationship first surfaced in 2 Samuel chapter 7, verse 14. If he commits iniquity, I will chasten him. I will discipline him with the rod of men and with the blows of the son of men. So that's the background. So we can see that this whole background has a picture of God as Father. And of course, the elderly as Father. And of course, not forgetting the Father himself, right? And so in the Hebrew context, the word Av, the word father is actually Av. And that's the word used here. It's used as God being the father in that role, like in 2 Samuel chapter 7, verse 14, any elderly man who is godly, who knows God, who instructs the commands of God is called a father. And in the Hebrew context, any man who is older would be a patriarchal society, and they would be all fathers. And of course, the father himself, the proper father. In Solomon's case, it would be David. So he says, my children, do not just be careful with the instruction, the discipline of a father. Give attention to know understanding. I guess you can say that the word give attention is to heed, right? To heed. So this whole idea of instruction and then to know, to have experience of understanding, and the word understanding here means discernment, is very clearly an allusion to how one should walk before God. That the choices you make must be based on the knowledge of God and the instruction of God. And that when God is to discipline, you will then know, or you will have experience of the discernment of what is good and evil in the eyes of God. And so when you are paying attention, when you're heeding the instruction or the discipline of a father, you are literally, what I would say, fearing God. This is the Hebraic understanding of the father and son. If you recall, when we talked about fearing God, would be afraid of God. Being afraid of God in the sense that you are afraid of God's chastisement, of his discipline, because he is a God who will discipline. We are told to be wary of God because he is a consuming fire. And so in the Hebrew sense of the word, or even the Oriental father, it would be a fatherly figure, serious, somber, with a rotan. And so that would mean that when the child recognizes such discipline, the child would have good experience of knowing good and evil. He is able to discern because he's very careful with decisions. For I give you good doctrine, do not forsake my law. So notice now it would be this I and my, and this would be Solomon, right? As an elderly father to the children of Israel, to the younger ones. In fact, this is actually very much driven to the younger generation so that as they grow up, they learn about fearing God. And so what does this mean? Well, it is Solomon giving good doctrine. The word doctrine here is an English word. The actual word here is good teaching. And the base word here is lakach. And this word can mean, depending on its usage, it could mean learn or teach. And so this is a very interesting word in Hebrew that it has both nuances depending on how the word is used. And it is good. What is good? Good is tov. Good is tov. And you should know by now, tov would be what is agreeable in the eyes of the beholder. So in the eyes of Solomon, who is giving the teaching, it is good in his eyes. And so he says, do not let go, right? Do not let go. And that's the word, leave, adzaf. It would be abandoned. do not abandon my law. And the word law here is Torah. Now, I need to, again, remind all of us, though we have this word law, the word Torah actually means instruction and directions. And so it can be used of God's law or God's Torah, or it's now used as Solomon's Torah. And understand this, if the father, as I had mentioned before, is one who is godly, then the good teaching that Solomon gives actually comes from God because he fears God. And that is how the chain of reference comes in. Now, notice in verse 3, it says, when I was my father's son, tender, the only one in the sight of my mother. Now, understand this. As the father's son, and you could see that is David's, right, son. But David had many sons. And Solomon is not the first son. When he was younger, the only one in the sight of my mother. And I guess if you go back and read First Kings, the first few chapters of First Kings, the mother, Bathsheba, made sure that Solomon became king. And so you could say that he is the only one in the sight or in the eyes of my mother. Tender, at the time when he was made a king, he was very young. And he was my father's son. And as David's son, this is the reference back. He also taught me and said to me, who is he? David. And so David taught Solomon and said to me, let your heart retain my words, keep my commands and live. You notice these are all verbs. So I have mentioned to you before, in the Hebrew language, verbs are very, very important. Verbs is actually the dominant words so that it conjures the vision, the video in the mind, really. And so when he says he taught me, this word taught is yara. He directed me. And the way he directed is to give him the Torah. So he yara me of his Torah. It comes all from the same root word. And so he said to me, when David said this to him, you could see this in First Chronicles, chapter 28 and in verse 9. And this is what David said to Solomon. He says, as for you, my son Solomon, know the God of your father and serve him with a loyal heart and with a willing mind. For the Lord searches all hearts and understands all the intent of the thoughts. If you seek him, he will be found. But if you forsake him, that's this word, forsake, he will cast you off forever. And so these are important words of the Father to the Son. So let your heart, remember your heart will be your mind, where you make your choices. And the word retain. Retain actually means to hang on. Hang on to my davar. Keep, shamar, this is to guard. My commandments, mitzvot, these are literally orders, charge, orders. And if you so do, you will stay alive And understand this. You know, when you do a Bible study and you see positive words, you keep, you guard, you take the commandments that David has given and pass it down to your children, and let your children pass it down to your children's children, then you will live. You will live means that you will continue to be alive before God. And of course, the opposite will be, if you don't do all this, you won't live. So in a Bible study, you will always see the converse. And that should also be part and parcel of the learnings as well. Verse 5, get wisdom, hokmah. The word get is a very interesting word. This one means to go buy, to go acquire. And wisdom is hokmah. And the word here would be hokmah, Chokma. And then he says, get understanding. And the word get is the same word for here, get. It comes from the root word of being a jealous God. You know, God is a kana God. God is a kana God in the sense that he protects what he has purchased, his own things that he will protect. And so the same root word is to buy, is to get, is to acquire. So God acquired Israel from Egypt in that sense. And the word understanding is in pair with the word wisdom, right? That would be important for us to see. And so you could say that understanding here is the ability to discern, as we have seen before. And so wisdom and understanding is an A and a B. Just get that. Wisdom being the ability to discern, to be able to find solutions to lives, situations, be able to see more than what others see. And so there is discernment, understanding, and knowledge. All of these three actually go hand in hand. So he says, do not forget, nor turn away from the words of my mouth. And this basically means hang on. When you buy and acquire understanding and wisdom, then you should not forget. Do not turn away from the words of my mouth, which will give you wisdom and understanding. This is how the book of Proverbs is explaining things. Do not forsake her. She will preserve you. Love her and she will keep you. I think you should know by now the word her in this case is wisdom. Right? Is wisdom and understanding. All of these are the same meanings. Wisdom and understanding, they're all feminine. And so the personification here is, do not let her go. Do not abandon her. Wisdom will preserve you. The word preserve is to keep. He is to guard you. Love her. And the word love is ahav. Ahav means to give. Give yourself to her. And she, wisdom, will watch over you. And this word here is watch over. And so the word preserve and watch over is an A and a B. So wisdom itself and understanding will take care of you. If you love wisdom, you will not forsake wisdom. So you see, love and not forsake are synonyms. So not forsake means you will not abandon. So the Hebrew concept of love is to give of oneself. It is also in verse 6, meaning you will not abandon and give up on the person. That's what love is. So it's very vivid and very visual. And the reason why it is personified as a female is because it uses feminine words, and Hebrew loves to then portray these ideas as a woman. Verse 7, wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom, and in all your getting, get understanding. Again, this is, I would suppose this, you should be able to figure it now. Wisdom, hokmah, is the principal thing. The principal thing would be the beginning. Remember in chapter 1, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. So that's the word beginning, right? And here it's translated as principle. It means also the chief, meaning principle. The first. It is the first things, all right? And then it says, buy wisdom. Go buy wisdom. Go acquire wisdom. And it says here, in everything of your getting, of your buying or your acquiring, of all your acquiring, you should actually acquire discernment. Now, if you recall what I have just said, and I've been saying this, the word wisdom and understanding is in the same category. Buy this. Get this. Right? And this is first. The beginning. And so if you want to get this, remember what it says in the first chapter of Proverbs is to fear God. Is to fear God. Exalt her, and she will promote you. And she will bring you honor when you embrace her. These are all words that is talking about a relationship, right? Relationship with a woman. These are terminology that says this. So it says, exalt her. And she will promote you. And the word here, exalt, literally means to lift up. And if you lift her up, then she will, in fact, this word here would mean that she will exalt you. Right? She will exalt. And the way she would exalt is that she will be the one to bring you honor, make you important. So wisdom can do that. Give you glory. And then the other verb will be when you embrace her. The word embrace her literally would mean that you would enclose your arms around, right? Clasp, enclose arms. And this woman here, right? This woman here is very important because she is able to do things which other women can't. And so in a social life, the young men will always be interested in women. That's the normal course of life. And so the book of Proverbs is using the woman imagery and the woman personified in the idea of wisdom, understanding, and knowledge to show the young men, my sons, how important wisdom is in life. She will place on your head an ornament of grace. This is a wreath. And a crown of glory she will deliver to you. And this would be an A and a B. Right? This is the honor that you would get from having wisdom as the girlfriend, right? In that sense. So if you have a girlfriend called wisdom, you will pay attention to her. You will not abandon her. You will not let her out of your sight. And so in that courtship, you would find that this girlfriend called wisdom or understanding or knowledge will be reciprocating incredible things in that relationship. Verse 10. Hear, my son. Now this is in singular. And receive my sayings. The word receive means take. Take my sayings, the things that I'm speaking. And the years of your life will be many. It literally means the years of your life means the length of your life will be many. Many means it will be counted many years. In short, we could actually say that, well, you have a long life, right? Now, the question that many people had asked was, how can you get long life in that sense? I think it is not so much as long life, but many more years of your life. So if you think of it this way, as life goes on, we don't know how many years we have, but at any juncture of time, we know that that particular life can be shortened. It can be shortened by disaster and by disobedience. All right? Because disobedience brings judgment. And so think of this verse here as the years of your life will be many, means you will continue to perpetuate your years. And this particular aspect of shortening will not happen. Why? Because you are obeying the words of your father, and the words of your father is the words of his father. And through the course, you would say that these would be God's words because it's passed down generation to generation. And so when you follow the words of God in your life will not be shortened because God has no reason to strike you dead, to send fire to consume you. That's what this actually means. Verse 11, I have taught you in the way of wisdom. I have led you in the right paths. Understand, this is an A and a B. The way of wisdom is called the right paths. Teaching is about leading. You can see that these are all in parallel. The word teach here is yara. The word lead the word lead here would be to cause to go, to walk. And so in the Hebrew sense, teaching is about showing you the way, pointing you to the right direction. That's what yara is all about. Yara is to point to the right direction. And so to cause you to walk is also to put you in the right direction. The way of wisdom would be darach hokmah. Then this one here, the right paths. The word paths here would be track. And the word right is uprightness. Upright, right with God. And so way of wisdom is actually God's way. You can see that everything that's behind these words is about God's Torah, God's instruction. But now it is used in a personification of the word wisdom, understanding, knowledge. And here it is a parallel of being right. It would be wisdom, God's way. When you walk, your footsteps will not be hindered. When you run, you will not stumble. Notice, walk and run. These are two actions as motion forward. You are to reach a destination. And so one is walking and one is running, although you would find that the momentum might be different. It is understand this, in the Hebrew context, walking is just not moving your legs. Walking is journeying to a destination. When you run, you will always reach a destination. And so this is an A and a B, that your steps will not be hindered. In verse 12, the word hindered literally means to be narrow, to be bound, right? To be bounded or to be narrow. That you, whenever you put your footsteps, you won't be pressed to a point where it is too narrow to move forward. And when you run, then it says you will not stumble. The word stumble is that you would, you know how stumble is? You kick something with your feet, you would waver, right? Waver, or you would totter around, and then you fall. And so this is an A and a B, because in the progress of moving forward, nothing is going to stop you, right? Nothing will obstruct your movement forward. And so take firm hold of instruction. Do not let go. Keep her, for she is your life. These are the key words. Verse 13, take firm hold. What is to take firm hold? To take firm hold is to be, how should you say, to be determined. Be determined. Be strong in your insistence to hang on. To what? The word instruction here is not Torah. The word instruction here means discipline. Don't let go. And this word here actually means don't drop the ball, right? Don't abandon. Keep her. This word for keep is to watch over. Keep a close eye on her. Why? because she is your life. She is what keeps you alive. And so basically you find this is A and B. And the whole idea here is, if you want to live, you must have wisdom. And what is wisdom? It is the Torah, the instructions of God. Verse 14. Now, verse 14 onwards, I think you should be able to make a reference to Proverbs chapter 1, verse 10 and 15 in this next few verses. It says, do not enter the path of the wicked. Do not walk in the way of evil. Understand, evil and wicked are parallels. We have an A and a B. The path of the wicked, the way of evil, also the parallel. Verse 4, the way of evil is the path, the journey, and this word, the path, would be the road, I would say it would be a circuit, right? An orach, it would be a circuit. It would be, let me just put it down, circuit that is trodden. You have walked before. You know, when you call a circuit, when people go for trade, right? The trader would always travel the same roads. In all journeys, they would use the same path. So by the time you finish walking and everybody walks on it, you get a very nice path in the whole wilderness. And so the warning is, do not. Enter means to come in. Don't join into this path of those who have left the path or God's path. Do not walk in the path of evil, which is Ra, and that would be disagreeable in God's eyes. That's basically what it says. Don't join them. If you don't join them, that is wise. Verse 15, avoid it. Do not travel on it. Turn away from it. Pass on. Now, these are all key words that you need to know. The first word, avoid. The first word, avoid, means to let go, to let alone. Don't join them. Let alone. Do not travel. The word do not travel means do not avar, do not pass over on it. And then the next word is to turn away. That's literally the word. Turn aside. Because you're not going to join the road, you're going to walk away from it. And pass on. Same. Pass over. Same here. A and B. Don't join them. All right. For they do not sleep unless they have done evil, and their sleep is taken away unless they make someone fall. I'm suggesting to you that this also is an A and a B. The emphasis is the character of evil, of Ra, right? Of Ra. It is important for us to remember that people who do bad things don't sleep. If they sleep, they are to make someone fall, and that is considered evil. The word fall here is to stumble, right? The word fall here is to stumble. basically you're walking fine, and you kind of trip that person, and the person just jolt forward and it's not walking steadily, and eventually, well, head on, fall onto the street. And that is termed as evil because it is disagreeable. To who? To the one who don't want to fall. And so if you don't want to fall, you must avoid these paths. Why does one join the path when you see a lot of things that will stumble you? And so wisdom is saying, don't go there. Don't join them. Don't even start. You see, that's what wisdom is all about. Wisdom is not about saying, when you walk into all these danger, you keep your eyes open and you will know how not to fall. That is not wisdom. Basically, when wisdom is portrayed as a woman, it is trying to say, don't fall into the hands of an evil woman to even begin with. And so stay in embrace with the good woman. Because if you are in the company of an evil or a bad woman, that is no longer wise, and you will trip and fall and you will die. That is what Solomon is trying to teach the young people. And so it is not about, well, you can tempt fate, right? You can just join them and you know that you're strong and you will not fall. That is not what Solomon is saying. Solomon is saying, avoid it. See these words here? Do not enter. Do not walk. Avoid it. Turn away. Pass on. Do not travel on it. I mean, I don't know how many more ways that Solomon can say to remind the young man, don't tempt fate. Don't even start. Verse 17 is a continuation. It says, for they eat the bread of wickedness and drink the wine of violence. Eat and drink. These are all common everyday terms. It is, they make their life with what kind of food? Bread and wine, of wickedness and violence. This is an A and a B. It is also the character of evil. You can see that. Wickedness, verse 17, Rasha, right? Wickedness is those who are guilty of doing wrong. Violence, this word is bad. And the word violence here is Hamas. That's the problems that Israel had when they were in the times of the later kings, the northern and the southern, and they will have violence. They will hurt people, especially the orphans, the widows, the needy, the poor, the weak. And that is what God is hot on and always against them. And so this is what is the character of evil. Don't join them. Verse 18, but the path, you notice this is noun, but. This is the good side of things. This is the tov. This is the contrast of the passages above. All right? But the path of the just is like the shining sun that shines ever brighter unto the perfect day. I mean, these are all very nice words. But the way of the wicked is like darkness. They do not know what makes them stumble. Understand this. This is an A, this is a B. The just, the wicked. Who are the just? The just are the tzadikim. The tzadikim would be the ones who is right with God, who is very generous. Generous, just is the opposite of Hamas, injustice. The path is like a shining sun. The description means, how should we say? This would be like the illumination, the brightness of something very brilliant. Right? The word sun isn't there, but essentially the path, meaning the road that the generous one, the right ones are walking, is really bright. You can see your way, you know where you are going, and it's clear. That's what it says, right? It shines, and the word shine here means it actually is it is the brightness, right? It is a brightness, and it will be stable unto the perfect day. Well, I guess you could say this. The word shines ever brighter is basically, the word is, it will be light unto the stable day. Right? The stable day. The day is clear, the day is firm, the day is established. Meaning, when you walk in that path, it will look like a path that is brilliant. That's what it says. Right? The second phrase here is that the way of the wicked, and the word wicked here is the guilty ones. Actually is the opposite. It's like darkness. The word here, darkness, well, I guess you could say that it is a case of no light, right? Which means you can't see, and they do not know what makes them stumble. So so they have no knowledge of the things that will cause them to trip and fall. And what happens is, this would be also the road, but the road actually is dark. And as the road is dark, the person who is walking on it could trip and fall. Right? Trip and fall. Why? Because he can't see. And so the idea here is, the contrast is that the wicked and is contrasted with the just. The just means the one who knows God, who knows God's word. The wicked is the one who goes away from God's word, and they don't know what is going to trip them. That's what it means. Let's look at the last segment here. The last segment in verse 20, again, my son, as an elderly man speaking to the young man, as you can see, give attention. The word give attention to my words, saying again, heed, right? Pay attention, be attentive, right? And the word means to lean over. Give attention to my words. And the words here is what I am saying. What I am saying. And then this word, incline your ear to my words. Okay, let me just change this, sorry. To my words here would be my davar. These are matters that I'm telling you. My sayings is what I am saying. And this is an A and a B. The whole idea here is pay attention. That's all it means. Incline your ear, right? Is to cause, right? Cause ear to lean. You know what it means? When you want to actually listen to something clearly. And so the Hebrew words are very visual, very vivid. So incline your ear is like when you turn your ear and you lean your body forward to catch what is being said. So literally it's pay attention, right? Do not let them depart from your eyes. Keep them in the midst of your heart. So depart, do not depart is the same as keep them. And then the second set of words here is your eyes, your heart. So you notice, do not let them depart. Depart means turn aside from your eyes, from how you can see things. And then it says keep, guard. Guard them in the midst of your heart, so that you arrange it that it's in the middle of your heart, your mind, which also means that it's in the middle of your decisions. Let the words be guiding what you say and do, right? For they are life to those who find them and health to all their flesh. Understand this. When you read words like this, for they are life, verse 22, and they are things that will keep you alive. Like fresh air will keep you alive, right? Not poison. And that if you find them, this is matzah, it's to seek, to find. It means that you don't have, and you go and find, and then you acquire it. You see that? And once you have it, you get life. You will live because you will do what you have found. It will be health. Now, this word health literally means healing. It will be sound, I guess you could say sound of mind to all your flesh. Now, the word flesh here, I guess you could say that this would mean their physical, but the whole idea here is it's part of their life as well, part of their existence. And that sound mind and health, good health, is to the body, right? Is to the body. And so life in a physical sense will perpetuate when one keeps holding on to the words of Solomon. Keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it springs the issues of life. Put away from you a deceitful mouth and put perverse lips far from you. All of these are this is an A and a B, right? This is about your lips and your tongue. And keep wickedness away from your mouth. Your heart would be your mind. Guard them, because the decisions you make is important because it affects your life. Verse 25. Let your eyes look straight ahead let your eyelids look right before you. Notice an A and a B. Stay on course. So if your eye is looking forward, then you will keep walking forward. That's what it means. Ponder the path of your feet and let all your ways be established. See, the word ponder in verse 26 is literally to weigh. To weigh every step, to balance your path, which means that every step you take is calculated. And let all your ways be established. The word established is to be firm, right? To be in order. And this is an A and a B. And so your steps, your journey is level. It's smooth. And again, the final one is a warning. Don't turn to the right or left. Remove your foot from evil. So you can see this is another A and B. What is the parallel? Do not turn. Remove your foot. So your feet, when you walk, if you step to the left or right, it is Ra. It is evil. It is, I would say, disagreeable to God. So if you were to walk on a path, you are not to go to the right or the left. So keep your eyes straight forward. That's what it means. Don't turn left, don't turn right. Don't step to left or right because that is evil. And so this is life. And hence, we come to the end of our lesson today, chapter 4, very much a constant reminder that wisdom is really the path of God. Wisdom is the directions of God. And it's said in so many ways, it is for your health. It is for life. Turn away from other things. Keep your eyes fixed on your journey, which is bright and brilliant and clear in front of you. Don't be tempted to stray away. Stay in the embrace of the woman called wisdom. That's your girlfriend. Pay attention to her. Don't jump into the arms of the evil woman. And so this is the close of chapter 4.